The area is home to the Tsimane. Many of the older members of this community maintain exceptional physical and mental vigor until very old age.
What if the human body had hidden settings science never warned us about? Around the world, there are tribes whose everyday lives quietly challenge what doctors and textbooks say should be possible. Not through experiments or extreme training, but through routines shaped by nature over generations. These are not myths, yet their bodies respond to harsh environments in ways that still raise questions. One group grows up where danger feels normal. Another thrives where most people fail. Scientists can see the results, but the deeper reasons remain unclear. What shaped these people, and what secrets lie within them? Number 7. Moken. The Moken sea nomads have spent most of their history living almost entirely on the water, moving between islands in the Andaman Sea off Thailand and Myanmar. They traveled in hand-built wooden boats called kabang, which served as home, kitchen, bed, and workplace for entire families. Children grew up on decks instead of yards, learning early that falling into the sea meant swimming, not fear. This lifelong immersion shaped a deep comfort in water that outsiders immediately noticed. Fishing, gathering shells, and diving for sea cucumbers were daily tasks repeated hour after hour under the tropical sun. The ocean was not scenery, but identity, shaping knowledge, stories, and survival itself. Generations passed with skills taught through observation rather than instruction, embedding the sea into childhood instinct. Life followed tides and weather rather than clocks or borders. This rhythm defined freedom, danger, and belonging. What stunned scientists most was the extraordinary underwater vision of Moken children. They dove without masks or goggles, opened their eyes beneath the surface, and clearly picked out clams and sea cucumbers. Tests showed they could see about twice as clearly underwater as European children of the same age. In the air, their eyesight was completely ordinary, making the difference even more striking. This ability came from two coordinated actions: intense pupil constriction and unusually strong lens reshaping. Together, these adjustments sharpened images and reduced blur caused by light bending underwater. At first, researchers assumed a rare genetic mutation was responsible. Training experiments later revealed the skill could be learned through repeated childhood practice. European children trained to dive and focus underwater improved dramatically within weeks. This discovery showed how flexible human vision can be when shaped early. The vision was just a small part of the broader sea and ocean that characterized Moken's life. Children and adults were showing the utmost breath control and evenness of mind underwater. Even though they had less practice than earlier generations, many were still able to hold their breath for more than a minute. They came up relaxed and smiling, treating their dives as daily routines rather than risks. Using simple tools, adults would gather fish, shells, and sea cucumbers repeatedly during the day. Their movements in water were more like walking through a familiar place than sport. This close relationship once saved lives during the terrible Indian Ocean tsunami. The elders noticed the strange sea behavior, animal reactions, and sudden water withdrawal, and they would then recognize the warning signs. They would then move the people to higher ground before the wave came. Over the years, the Moken people have encountered huge changes in their way of life, and it seems that their ability to adapt and their culture are at risk. Viewed from different aspects, the presence of national borders, the creation of national parks, the promotion of tourism, and the limitation of tree cutting have gradually forced them to settle on minimum and unproductive land. Only a small number of kabang boats are still being used for traditional sailing. The researchers are concerned that the diving kids of the Moken community might lose their rare skill. The underwater vision developed through diving and diving-related activities may completely vanish in the next generation of Moken kids. The Moken case might be interpreted as one of the places where human capabilities are more dependent on the environment than on heredity. Moreover, it indicates how rapidly such changes can occur in the case of a disruption in the lifestyle. What appears to be miraculous is often just humanity gradually tuning itself to nature's demands. The disconnection does not merely mean the downfall of a tradition, but also an important point of demonstration of how flexible, trainable, and adaptable the human body is when it takes the form of nature's child and the earth. When the daily interactions with the ocean cease, the knowledge gets lost, the skills become rusty, and science gets shut off from a rare glimpse of human potential. The reasons for protecting such communities are not related to nostalgia, but to the understanding of what humans can become. Their teachings are vanishing more quickly than anyone anticipated. Time is no longer on their side. And just when you think nature has hit its limit, the next group proves there's another level. Number 6. Rarámuri. The Rarámuri people, also known as the Tarahumara, live in the remote Copper Canyon region of northern Mexico, a dramatic landscape carved by deep gorges, towering cliffs, rocky trails, and narrow mountain paths. In this demanding terrain, movement is not optional. Villages are spread far apart, fields cling to steep slopes, and visiting family or attending ceremonies often requires hours or even days of travel on foot. For the Rarámuri, running is not a sport added to daily life. It is daily life. Their name is commonly translated as those who run on foot, a description that reflects both identity and necessity. From childhood, they grow up navigating long distances across uneven ground, learning to move efficiently through an environment that offers no shortcuts. For generations, outsiders shared stories of Rarámuri runners covering unbelievable distances, often dismissing them as myths or exaggerations. That skepticism faded when anthropologists and scientists finally observed these feats firsthand. Rarámuri runners have been documented traveling anywhere from 60 to 300 kilometers over mountainous terrain in a single event. Some reports describe individuals carrying heavy loads across vast distances that would overwhelm even elite endurance athletes elsewhere. These performances are not isolated stunts, but extensions of abilities shaped by lifelong habits. The runners move with steady, unhurried rhythms, conserving energy while maintaining momentum over terrain that punishes mistakes and rewards patience. Running is deeply woven into Rarámuri culture through traditional endurance games that serve both social and ceremonial roles. In Rarajapari, men divide into teams and kick a small wooden ball along rugged trails, chasing it for hours at a time. These races can continue through the night and into the following day, covering vast distances with no fixed finish line. Women take part in a similar game called arihueta, rolling a hoop with a stick while running for long stretches. These events are not about speed, but persistence. Entire communities follow the runners, offering encouragement, food, and shared celebration, turning endurance into a collective experience rather than an individual achievement. Scientists who studied these races found striking physiological patterns. Heart rate monitors showed that Rarámuri runners worked hard, yet their heart rates stayed controlled rather than spiking into dangerous. In more recent ultra-distance studies covering around 78 kilometers, blood tests revealed significant physical stress immediately after completion. Nevertheless, the most impressive aspect was the body's rapid recovery. In just a couple of days, the levels of heart and kidney strain markers for most people had returned to normal. The body took the stress, healed, and reset itself at an incredible speed. And this was a demonstration of resilience acquired through repetition, rather than training cycles that involved extremes in fitness. Supporting this amazing endurance is a diet that might seem too simple for such power. The traditional diet of the Rarámuri is based on corn, beans, and squash, and other plant-based foods with a little bit of wild meat now and then. Their fat and cholesterol intake remains low compared to the industrialized diets, and in the past, coronary heart disease was hardly ever found in rural communities. Before long runs, a lot of Rarámuri people take pinole or atole, which are drinks made from ground corn and water, providing continuous and slowly releasing energy. Another drink that is common among the Rarámuri is isquiate or chia fresca, which is made from mixing chia seeds with water. This combination promotes hydration and endurance rather than quick bursts of strength. The footwear aspect is of equal importance. There are still many Rarámuri who wear huaraches while running, which are sandals with a zero drop and made from either leather or recycled rubber tires, and are only attached by thin straps. The sandals promote either a forefoot or midfoot landing and thus lessen the impact experienced by the knees and hips. while the foot is allowed to move naturally. The Rarámuri runners need not worry about their joints getting too tired because they have developed their running technique that way since childhood. This, plus the unique nature of the hard and uneven ground over long distances being softened by the sandal style, thus being in line with the body's adaptation to instilling running endurance since infancy, is the reason for their not feel any stress. Genetic studies throw in another perspective by providing a new layer to the unfolding story. It is not only that the elite Rarámuri runners carry the above-mentioned signals in their genes, but also have them linked with the traits of strong tendons, connective tissue, and muscle support structures through a genetic study. These characteristics might offer a small but justifiable mechanical advantage when running is not practiced for years, but for a lifetime. Nevertheless, their elasticity is not immune to transition. Some communities are already displaying escalating cases of weight gain and high blood pressure as roads, processed foods, alcohol, and modern conveniences penetrate deeper into the canyons. The Rarámuri saga is a picture of the long and complex process in which the great endurance of humans is formed through the interaction of environment, culture, and habit. When that balance is altered, no matter how strong the traditions are, they will begin to fade. Number 5. Bajau. The Bajau sea nomads live in a world where the ocean is not a boundary, but a living space. For generations, their villages have floated along the coasts of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, with families once spending nearly their entire lives on wooden boats known as lepa. Cooking, sleeping, raising children, and working all happened on water. Even today, many Bajau depend on the sea for survival, diving daily to collect fish, shellfish, and sea cucumbers using only simple tools. To them, slipping beneath the surface is as ordinary as walking across a yard. Bajau children learn to swim almost as soon as they can walk, growing up surrounded by adults who disappear into deep water and return calmly with food. This lifelong exposure creates extraordinary comfort, confidence, and skill in an environment that most humans experience only briefly. What truly sets the Bajau apart is their astonishing ability to hold their breath and function underwater for extreme lengths of time. Many divers repeatedly descend to depths exceeding 70 feet, staying submerged for several minutes before surfacing briefly and diving again throughout the day. While most people struggle to hold a single breath for more than a couple of minutes, Bajau divers routinely surpass this limit, with reports of exceptional dives lasting close to 15 minutes. For decades, outsiders assumed this endurance came purely from training and cultural habit. However, scientific testing revealed a deeper biological advantage. Researchers discovered that Bajau spleens are, on average, about 1.5 times larger than those of nearby non-diving populations. The spleen stores oxygen-rich red blood cells, releasing them during breath-holding to extend underwater time. Genetic analysis showed that these traits are not simply the result of practice. Certain genes linked to spleen growth and the human diving reflex display strong signs of natural selection among the Bajau. Over many generations, individuals better suited to low oxygen conditions survived and passed those traits on, effectively tuning Bajau bodies for life beneath the waves. Culture then amplifies this advantage. Growing lungs, chest muscles, and blood vessels adapt early to repeated pressure changes, while the nervous system learns to suppress panic when oxygen levels drop. Mental calm becomes as important as physical adaptation. Together, biology and upbringing form a rare combination that allows Bajau divers to work underwater for hours each day without modern equipment, relying only on wooden goggles, handmade spears, and deep familiarity with the sea. Despite their remarkable abilities, the Bajau way of life is increasingly fragile. Many governments have pushed sea nomads to abandon traditional boat living and settle permanently on land. Overfishing has reduced marine resources, while regulations restricting where and how diving can occur have cut deeply into their livelihoods. As fewer children grow up spending entire days in the water, some of the skills that once defined Bajau life face erosion. Their story is a powerful reminder that human biology is not fixed, but shaped by environment, culture, and time. The Bajau did not evolve as curiosities. They adapted because survival demanded it. Their enlarged spleens, calm minds, and extraordinary breath control represent a partnership between genes and lived experience. As modern pressures close in, the risk is not just the loss of a culture, but the disappearance of a rare example of how flexible and resilient the human body can be when shaped by generations of intimate contact with the natural world. Without deliberate protection, both their knowledge and biological advantages may fade, leaving science with questions and humanity poorer for losing them forever globally. If this one bends biology, the next one pushes it into an environment most people can't last an hour in. Number 4. Sherpa. High in the Himalayas lives a people whose daily existence unfolds in air so thin that most visitors struggle to breathe. Sherpa villages sit between 10 and 14,000 feet above sea level, near the slopes of Mount Everest. For outsiders, even light movement brings headaches, dizziness, and exhaustion. For the Sherpa, this environment is simply home. They farm steep land, walk long mountain trails, and carry heavy loads while speaking easily and laughing. For generations, they have worked as guides and porters on the world's highest peaks, fixing ropes, hauling equipment, and establishing camps for climbers chasing lifelong dreams. One Sherpa climber, Kami Rita, has reached Everest's summit more than 30 times, a feat that underlines how deeply adapted these people are to conditions that push most humans to their limits. The difference lies in how Sherpa bodies manage oxygen. When people from low elevations ascend to high altitude, their bodies respond by producing more red blood cells, thickening the blood to capture scarce oxygen. While this can help short-term, overly thick blood strains the heart and increases the risk of dangerous swelling in the lungs or brain. Sherpa physiology follows a different strategy. Studies show that their blood does not thicken as much at altitude. Instead, they maintain a larger volume of plasma, keeping circulation thin and efficient while still delivering sufficient oxygen. This allows their hearts to work without excessive strain. Their lungs are also highly efficient, moving air in and out smoothly, while dense networks of tiny blood vessels help oxygen cross rapidly into muscles and organs where it is needed. At the cellular level, the adaptations of Sherpas become even more extraordinary. They produce higher nitric oxide levels in the lungs, which is a gas that expands blood vessels and helps the body to absorb more oxygen in low-altitude conditions. The skeletal muscle has an exceedingly high capillary density, which means that oxygen can reach the cells very fast. The mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cells, and they work at an extraordinarily high efficiency. Sherpa muscles, in comparison to visiting climbers' ones, take in oxygen with less energy wastage and less harmful byproducts produced. This clean energy consumption lowers acid buildup and postpones fatigue, thus allowing the Sherpas to walk for hours, even when they carry heavy loads, without feeling the crushing exhaustion that others experience. The outcome is stamina that looks effortless, even in places where survival itself is difficult. These characteristics are not merely the result of training. Research conducted on the genetics of Sherpas shows that they share the key adaptations with the Tibetan highland populations, particularly the changes in the genes that control how the body perceives and reacts to low oxygen. Among these genes is the very one, EPAS1, that has been associated with this biological process. Over the course of many generations, individuals whose bodies were better suited to altitude stress became healthier and more prolific, thus allowing their traits to become widespread in the population. The Sherpa story exemplifies the fact that human biology can be altered by the environment over time, such that the resulting bodies are superbly adapted to extreme conditions. As modernization advances to the Himalayas, their remarkable adaptations are a living testament to the process of evolution and the interplay of survival, culture, and genetics that pushes human limits far beyond what one would think possible. Number 3. Inuit. The Inuit live across Arctic Canada, Greenland, and Alaska, in environments where winter darkness lasts for months, and temperatures can plunge below -40. In these regions, farming crops like wheat or corn is impossible. Yet, Inuit communities have survived for thousands of years by hunting on sea ice and traveling long distances by sled. Daily life demands constant awareness of weather, ice, and animals because a single mistake can be fatal. Their traditional diet reflects this reality. It consists almost entirely of animal foods such as seals, whales, walrus, fish, and caribou, with very little plant matter or sugar. For a long time, this high-fat, high-protein way of eating confused scientists who believed such diets inevitably damaged the heart. Early health surveys added to the mystery. Inuit hunters showed surprisingly low rates of heart attacks, common in industrialized countries, despite getting a large share of their calories from fat. The first explanation focused on marine fats rich in omega-3 oils, leading many to believe these oils were uniquely protective. This idea later fueled the global fish oil supplement boom. Over time, a deeper investigation revealed a more complex picture. Inuit do experience strokes and heart disease, especially as processed foods and smoking have become more common. The crucial factor was not simply what they ate, but how their bodies were built to handle it. Genetic studies uncovered major changes in a group of genes known as FADS, which regulate how fats are processed in the bloodstream. These genetic variants help keep certain fat levels within safer ranges when eating a traditional marine-based diet and are linked to lower body weight and healthier blood markers. However, these same adaptations do not offer the same protection when paired with a modern Western diet. This explains why copying Inuit eating habits does not produce the same health outcomes elsewhere. Other Arctic adaptations tell similar stories. Variants in a gene called CPT1A support efficient fat burning in extreme cold, acting like a biological winter mode. While helpful for adult survival, these variants can increase risks for infants if food intake becomes irregular. The Inuit body is finely tuned to a specific environment, not a universal solution. Cold itself shapes Inuit biology every day. Studies show they rely heavily on brown fat, a special tissue that burns energy to generate heat instead of storing it. Their bodies produce more warmth at rest, and blood flow patterns help protect fingers and toes from frostbite. Cultural knowledge strengthens these biological traits. Parkas made from caribou hide trap warm air better than many modern jackets, while fur-trimmed hoods block wind around the face. Number 2. Hadza. The Hadza of northern Tanzania live a way of life that closely resembles how humans survived for tens of thousands of years. They are one of the last remaining true hunter-gatherer societies, spending each day walking, tracking, digging, climbing, and hunting across rugged land filled with rocks, thorns, and dry grass. From early morning until late afternoon, movement never really stops. Men and women commonly walk between 4 and 7 miles a day, even on what would be considered an easy day. No chairs are waiting at the end of a work shift, and no machines to shorten the distance between tasks. Despite this constant physical effort, the Hadza do not appear exhausted or worn down. Instead, their bodies function with quiet efficiency, shaped by daily demands that have changed little over countless generations. When scientists began measuring how much energy the Hadza burn, they expected dramatic differences compared to people in industrialized countries. Instead, the results were surprising. Even with far more daily movement, the Hadza burn roughly the same number of calories per day as adults in Europe or the United States. Their bodies adapt by conserving energy in other systems, proving that more activity does not automatically mean higher calorie burn. Health markers reveal even more striking patterns. Obesity is almost non-existent, with only 1 or 2% of adults classified as overweight. Blood pressure remains low throughout life, and conditions like type 2 diabetes, heart attacks, and clogged arteries are extremely rare, even among older individuals. Their hearts and blood vessels remain resilient long after many modern bodies begin to fail. The health profile of the Hadza people is supported by a diet that is very different from that offered by supermarkets. The men of the tribe engage in hunting wild animals and honey collection, and the women do tuber digging, berry gathering, baobab fruit harvesting, and wood collection for cooking. The available foods vary from season to season. In the dry months, the diet consists mainly of meat and honey, while during the rainy season, roots and fruits are the ones profusely consumed profusely. Honey hunting is one of the most extreme methods of obtaining food. The men indeed follow honey-guide birds, climb huge baobab trees with the aid of wooden pegs, and confront swarms of furious bees without wearing any protective clothes. One wrong move might lead to death, but the practice goes on because it has been proven effective. The food is pure, unrefined, and thoroughly connected to soil wisdom, which has been imparted through generations. Inside the Hadza people, there is another hidden world that intrigues the scientists a lot. The Hadza gut microbiome is not only richer, but also more diverse when compared to the gut microbiome of city dwellers. The presence of many friendly bacteria that have almost disappeared from the modern digestive system is still evident in the Hadzabi gut microbiome. To add on, their shifting microbes occur seasonally. Some bacterial forms grow in number during the times of meat and honey consumption and then gradually disappear with the return of plant diets. Others vanish completely and reappear months later, as if tracking an internal calendar that is in sync with the environment. This constant variation in the gut microbiome raises questions about digestion, metabolism, and health. The Hadza people prove that the human body is not incapacitated, but rather very flexible. Their lifestyle illustrates how physical activity, diet, and environmental factors can contribute to health in a way that modern science is just starting to discover. Hold on to that curiosity, because the final tribe takes everything you know and bends it. Number 1. Tsimane. Deep in the Bolivian Amazon, the Tsimane live in small villages connected by rivers and narrow forest paths. Their world has no gyms, no treadmills, and almost no cars. Yet, their bodies reveal something modern medicine rarely encounters. When doctors carried advanced CT scanners into the jungle, they expected to see aging arteries similar to those found elsewhere. Instead, they discovered the healthiest hearts ever recorded in any human population. Among hundreds of adults over the age of 40, nearly 8 out of 10 showed absolutely no calcium buildup in their heart arteries. Even among people in their late 70s and 80s, most scans remained clean and flexible. In societies where heart disease is considered an unavoidable part of aging, the Tsimane stand as a striking biological contradiction. The foundation of this extraordinary heart health lies in constant movement built into daily life. Most Tsimane are forager farmers, whose routines involve walking long distances, hunting, fishing, chopping trees, carrying water, and tending small gardens. None of this resembles structured exercise, yet step counters show that many adults cover 15,000 to 17,000 steps every single day. This steady, lifelong activity keeps blood pressure low and bodies lean without intentional workouts or fitness plans. Movement is not a choice or a goal, but a natural part of survival that continues from childhood through old age. Diet strengthens these effects. Roughly 2/3 of the Tsimane diet comes from foods they grow themselves, including cassava, plantains, corn, rice, other starchy plants. The remaining calories come from river fish and wild game such as tapir, monkey, and smaller forest animals. There is almost no processed sugar, very little factory oil, and almost no packaged food. Meals are simple, local, and consistent, supplying fiber, minerals, and natural nutrients without excess calories. Together with constant activity, this diet helps maintain a healthy weight and stable blood sugar throughout life. What confuses scientists most is not what the Tsimane eat or how much they move, but what their bodies endure. Blood tests reveal high levels of chronic inflammation caused by constant exposure to parasites, worms, and infections. In industrialized societies, long-term inflammation is strongly linked to clogged arteries, diabetes, and heart attacks. The Tsimane completely defy this pattern. Despite low levels of good cholesterol and heavy immune system stress, their arteries remain open and elastic. Obesity is extremely rare, diabetes is uncommon, and clinical heart disease is almost non-existent. This contradiction has forced researchers to rethink the idea that inflammation alone drives cardiovascular damage, suggesting that lifelong lifestyle context may fundamentally change how the body responds. The mystery extends beyond the heart to the brain. Multiple brain imaging studies have shown that Tsimane brains shrink much more slowly with age compared to those of people in Europe or the United States. The rate of brain volume loss appears to be roughly 70% slower, allowing many elders to retain more brain tissue well into old age. Early findings also suggest very low rates of dementia, even though these communities have limited access to modern medical care. Constant movement, natural diets, strong social bonds, and mentally engaging daily tasks may help protect cognitive function over decades. Life among the Tsimane requires intense physical labor. yet it remains balanced and shaped by nature rather than convenience. As roads, processed foods, and outside influences slowly reach deeper into the Amazon, researchers fear these advantages may begin to fade. The story of the Tsimane is a powerful reminder that human health is not shaped by technology or genetics alone, but by how the body adapts to daily life over generations. It challenges the idea that progress always equals improvement and highlights ancient resilience, sustainability, and wisdom that modern societies often overlook while chasing comfort, speed, and convenience at the cost of long-term health. Across the world, these tribes remind us that the human body is far more adaptable than we often believe. Their lives show how environment, culture, and time can shape abilities that feel almost impossible in the modern world. If this video made you rethink what the body can do, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that challenge what we think we know. And don't stop here. Check out the next video on your screen for another unbelievable journey into the hidden limits of the human body.